Hi everyone, this is Sivalakshmi Pannirselvam, working as an assistant professor in the EC department of RMK College of Engineering and Technology. In this video, we are going to discuss about omnipotent viewpoint and symbolic viewpoint of the management. So before getting into the discussion, first I would like to give the difference between the word omnipotent and the symbolic. Here I have brought a simple cartoon, which is a conversation between a god and a Nestor, who is a traveler again. So Nestor asked the god, being a god who has a supreme power, why can't you build a block which is heavy and it should not be lifted by anyone? This is the condition, he stated. So immediately, being a god, he builds and shows him a block which is so heavy. See, Nestor, since I have a power, I built it such thing. Nestor immediately says, okay, you're a god, but not a omnipotent because you built it, but you are not able to lift it. So immediately God lift and shows him that I could, because I'm the one who built it. So I would also be able to lift it. Wherein Nestor says this is totally contradict to what I asked for. So immediately God replies, Nestor, I'm omnipotent. I can do whatever I want. So this simple cartoon explains you what a omnipotent means. The person who has total control and totally responsible for whatever he does and who has a total supreme power out of others. So we call those people to be omnipotent. Wherein symbolic, who just symbolizes or represents the values of any culture. Okay. So this is a simple difference between an omnipotent and a symbolic. So when we make an analogy with the management, those people or those individuals, which we call it as a managers at any level of the management, who is totally held responsible for the outcomes of the management or the organization, we call them as a omnipotent in view of the management, wherein those individuals or the managers at any level of the management who is not held responsible for the outcome of the organization or the performance of the organization, we call that viewpoint of the management to be symbolic viewpoint of the management. So this is a simple difference between omnipotent and a symbolic. A manager would be held responsible, wherein here he won't be held responsible. Okay. So now we will get into the actual definitions of a omnipotent view of management. So an organization's performance are assumed to be due to the decision and actions of a manager. We call it as an omnipotent view of management. Here, managers are held directly responsible for organization success or failure. Also, they decide the quality of organization based on the quality of the managers. And managers are held totally responsible or accountable for an organization performance. And they expect managers to be good managers based on the readiness for the change, how could they exploit the opportunities, and how they would be able to correct their poor performances in the organization and lead their organization in the correct path. So these are the natures of an omnipotent view of management. Wherein in the symbolic viewpoint of management, an organization's success or failure is solely due to the external forces, which is out of control of managers. Those external forces could be at times because of the economy of the state or the country, customers, governmental policies, competitors, the industrial conditions, technology innovations happening day by day, and sometimes merely because of the actions of previous managers. So these factors could contribute as a external forces which decides the success or failure of an organization. So simply speaking, in this point of view, we could say managers just symbolize the control and influence through their actions. They develop plans, make decisions, and engage in the other organizational activities. So, in a way, they won't be held responsible for the outcomes of the organization or the management. So, the best example is here you could see an auto wherein cab, which is a car, used by multiple organizations for multi-purposes. Earlier days, we were walking to reach from one place to another. Then we had a bicycle, moped, with gear, without gear. Nowadays, even in that itself, we have electric charged two-wheelers. So as the invention is growing day by day, and because of the necessity of the customers, it depends because in a era we need both the things. Still, the bicycle survives, even two-wheeler survives, and even the car is running, and even the autos. So as they got evolved, as the invention has happened, we are still making use of each and everything, but based on the customer's necessity. Customers to customers, the satisfaction and necessity differs, but still we are making use of the same by different means. Say, simply speaking, I can't just quote that it affects the automobile industry. As the invention has happened, the newer invention has came into picture, the older invention got failed, and the automobile industry is in full failure. I can't say that, but the profits they were making were reduced with the older inventions, where the newer inventions they were able to make much more profits when compared to the older ones, wherein the older ones are used still by certain range of customers based on the money or the income they have in a family. Okay, so even right now, we have an invention where car with a three-wheelers. So in a decade or 2 decades, autos could be replaced by these kinds of cars. So at those times, we can't say a failure happening in an automobile industry is because of the that person uh, who was overseeing, which we call it as a manager, is held responsible for his own decisions. No, we can't say. Even the owner of the organization won't be held responsible because here the customer necessity changes and the technology innovation is also happening and the cost of each and everything is being reduced. So, according to the necessity, the requirement changes and uh, the product sale happens. So, we won't be able to hold a person, single person, as a responsible or accountable for the loss or even for the success. It is a teamwork. And those external factors which contributed for this example, now I could say that customers' requirement changes and different categories of customers are still existing. That is why even the older inventions are existing and the newer ones are getting into market. And how this is happening now with the help of the technology innovation. So these two parameters, external parameters, affects this industry and the people, the set of different kinds of organization involved relevant to this industry. Because I can't say simply automobile industry. The cab drivers who are involved in that are owned by different set of organization. Cab drivers management, wherein the vehicles, the hardware is involved, we we will try to speak under automobiles. So here itself, for this analogy itself, you can infer that there are so many organizations involved in this process. Wherein what are the external factors affecting them? Mainly the customer's requirement and the technology innovation. So here nobody could be held responsible if something goes successful or something goes into failure. So this is one simple example for a symbolic viewpoint of a management. So finally, I could say in reality, the managers who are discriminational managers now who has a full authority to decide anything. In theory, we say the managers are allowed to decide, they can act on their own. But in reality, managers are neither powerful nor helpless. And their decisions and actions, oppositions, options are constrained because of internal and external factors. If it is because of the internal factors now, which arises within the organization, we call it as a organization culture. If it is due to the external constraints, or the external factors, out of the organization. In other words, we call it as a organizational environment. So these two together, which arise due to the internal and the external constraints, we call it as the organizational culture and organizational environment respectively, would affect the managerial discretion. That is, the manager won't be able to exploit his full decisional authority. It would affect the work of the managers. So in the next video, we would be discussing about the organization culture and environment in detail. I hope you would have enjoyed this video. Thank you.